Yesterday, we began with the following proclamation, a proclamation that expresses what was clear about what it was that brought us here, namely, I am not at peace. This exclamation articulates very precisely the existential situation in which we find ourselves. And in fact, there are only two basic roots whose purpose is to resolve the matter at hand. The first is objective, believing that the statement, I am not at peace, suggests that there's something about my worldly concerns that need to be put into order. I go about seeking in the world in order to secure some object that will ensure that I am abidingly peaceful. This objective path may take quite some time because I tend to iterate through different sorts of objects, various kinds of pleasures, various takes on worldly success, various ways of being a morally unimpeachable person, or of giving back, or of leaving behind a legacy, and so on. Ultimately, it must be understood that the objective path, whichever way it goes, terminates in irresolution. After all this, still, I'm not at peace. I might tell myself that sometimes I'm peaceful, or during certain periods of my life, I have been more peaceful or more content than at other periods of my life. However, if I'm being very honest with myself, I have to admit that I haven't come to rest in genuine, abiding peace. Therefore, I am now open to the second path, which is subjective in nature. I go back to the original statement, I am not at peace. And it dawns on me that I need to bring my attention to the one who is not at peace. Who says that he is not at peace? Who is this one? On whose behalf is this discontent or unfulfillment arising? And is it true that I am that one proclaiming to be miserable or unfulfilled? The subjective path, in short, is the path of self-knowledge. What also dawns on me then is that suffering on this construal basically is what leads me to inquire into the question, who am I? Who am I ultimately or truly? After we understand that what is truly at stake is the I, and I am not at peace, then we may turn to the first preliminary teaching of Advaita Vedanta. It states, this I, whatever it may be, is different from all objective experiences. This is what we explored yesterday, and we will briefly return to this topic before we go one step further. What, in our experiential understanding, does it mean to say that the I shines on all objective experiences, or that the I, or witnessing I, is different from all objects it illumines? Start with a thought. Allow any thought to arise. It could be a memory thought. It could be a mental picture. It could be a discursive thought. Then ask yourself the very natural question, if I am aware of this thought, is it not also clear that I must be different from this thought? Or allow that thought to arise again and consider the question, to whom or to what is this thought appearing? And the answer may be that it is appearing to me. Today we will look very deeply at this me. Note now that the me in question is not an ego me. Atmananda sweetly calls the witness silent awareness. Turn now and once again to a bodily sensation. Note this sensation, then contemplate the question, to whom is this sensation appearing? Allow the question to wend its way back to me, the background awareness, to whom or to which this sensation is indeed appearing. Now, for a moment, gently open your eyes if they are closed. Now, seeing appears, or to speak more commonsensically, a sight appears. First, go out to the sight, whatever it may be, and focus on it. Now ask yourself the question, who is it that is aware of this sight? Who is it, or what is it that is aware of this sight right now? And allow the attention to slowly, you can imagine this for now, trace its way back to the one who is aware of the sight. So if you now unfocus, you will slowly involute or make your way back to the background awareness that you are. And as you do so, keep going back and back and back until something surprising occurs. Namely, that you leap into openness. Focus again on the sight. And then slowly make your way back to the one who is aware of this sight. And notice as you do so that something, once again, surprising is understood. There is no head. There is no face. There is simply openness. You can now close your eyes. We want to go one step further then, now that we've established that I, the witness, am different from all objective experiences. We want to begin to investigate the nature of this I. To do so in its own right. The first question we wish to consider is the following. Does the I that I am, the awareness that I am, have any objective qualities? Take a simple example. Previously, we were aware of a sight. Consider the question, am I myself a sight? Am I myself awareness, seeable? That is, am I myself colored? Do I myself have any shape? Sticking only with the experience of I myself, is there any evidence for my being visible? Just to understand the difference once more, allow the eyes to open. And here is a sight once more. Ask yourself the question, however, am I myself visible? Am I myself colored or shaped? Or isn't it true to say that I myself am invisible openness, the openness to which the sight is appearing? Allow the eyes to close. You know what a scent smells like. Smell of an orange, the smell of a lemon. Consider the question, do I myself have any scent? Do I smell like an orange or like a lemon or like any scent whatsoever? That is to say, if I simply stick with my own experience of myself, does it give off any scent? Simply note that it has no scent whatsoever. Likewise, you know what it's like to taste something sweet or sour or whatever. Examine the question, do I myself have any flavor? Do I myself taste sweet or sour, etc.? Now, bring your attention to any sound, sound of traffic, the sound of an appliance, or the sound of this voice. To be sure, I am that which is aware of this sound. But do I myself have any qualities reminiscent of sound? Can I myself be heard? Let the conclusion be clear. I exhibit no sense qualities. And let the further conclusion be clear. I cannot be immediately apprehended by the sense organs. I'm just not like that. But few think that I myself awareness am smellable or tasteable, the mind goes on. The mind might say, well, that's because I'm thinkable or conceivable or feelable. So allow any thought to arise, a memory thought, an anticipatory thought, a visualization. Then consider deeply the question, but am I a thought? Surely not. We note that I am different from a thought. However, the next question, am I thinkable? Can I myself be thought or conceived of? Some objects can be defined. We call them concepts. Am I myself definable? In fact, am I myself even discursible? Or is it fair to say that I am, properly speaking, ineffable? Finally, am I like any feeling or emotion? Do I exhibit any qualities reminiscent of anger or fear or sadness or momentary elation? The mind might object and say, well, but it is said that I am bliss or that I am peace. However, when I go directly to my experience of myself, do I find any undulations that are akin to states, to a peaceful state, or to a more peaceful state, or to a less peaceful state, or to a more ecstatic state, or to a less ecstatic state? Am I like a roller coaster? All emotions are like undulations. Am I like an undulation? Like a ripple? Like an up and down? What is now directly understood is that I cannot be intuited by the sense organs, nor can I be grasped by the mind. The conclusion is not that I am somehow unfindable, therefore, Rather, it is that I am directly experienced. I experience myself and know myself by being myself. What has been demonstrated and understood then is that I, awareness, have no objective qualities. However, the mind can superimpose on awareness something like a personality. The inquiry so far would be sufficient to reveal that I, awareness, do not have a personality. And yet, because this is such a common misunderstanding, we had better investigate it together. The question then arises, well, do I have a personality or not? Do I, that is to say, aware presence, have a personality or not? Suppose that one personality trait is conscientiousness. In fact, what we say about conscientiousness will apply to other such traits as well. Go directly to yourself and ask, when I simply stay with my experience of being myself, of being aware presence, do I discern being conscientious or being unconscientious? Or do I discern being neurotic or not being neurotic? Do I exhibit any characteristic, virtues, or vices? In fact, do I see in myself any sense of human agency? Without going exhaustively through this question, we can at least say that a personality has to do with certain tendencies or predispositions. So let's just use those two words. When I stay only with my own experience of myself, do I discern any tendencies or predispositions at all? That is to say, if I set aside all thoughts, all memories, and if I simply go to myself and remain as myself, do I find here any tendencies tending to do this, not that, or predispositions disposed in this way and not in that way? Is there any sense whatsoever of being a person or of anthropomorphic qualities? Is there any such, to speak metaphorically, colorings or shadings? Do I in any way resemble a character in a novel? Is there any sense to the idea that I, awareness, have a life to lead? What this line of inquiry reveals is the mistake, a common one, that the mind makes when it tries from its own lower level to understand awareness. And it does so by trying to make it into something that is person like. Each question, however, reveals the inapplicability of that conception to the aware presence that I am. I'm just not like that. I'm not a person, and it doesn't mean that I'm an alien. I'm none of these. I'm simply fresh, innocent, conscious openness. At this point in our inquiry, we have done a fair amount of brush cleaning, or brush clearing rather. We have understood that the eye of awareness has no objective qualities and that it has no personality. But the question can be raised, well, what then is it? And what could be said, and we wish to investigate these matters now, is that it is limitless, continuously present, and self-luminous, or that I am limitless, continuously present, and self-luminous or self-effulgent. Start with the question of having a limit or of being limited or of not being limited. Suppose that I am limited. Then I can ask the question, where can I discover any borders or boundaries or even parts in my actual experience of myself? Go now and look for any borders, boundaries, or parts. Where are these divisions, these segmentations, these compartments? And indeed, where does awareness stop and perchance something else continue on? Where is the very edge or end of awareness? And where are all its various parts? In fact, where is awareness in space? Does it extend over a certain region of space? And then who knows what happens? The harder we look in our direct experience of ourselves, the more it becomes clear to ourselves that we can find no such limits or parts or divisions. In fact, it's not even clear that awareness is in space. For space, a conception offered by the mind would also be a limitation. In short, take one more pass at it. Do you find any sense of limitation to your self awareness when you look everywhere? The following paradoxes may now make sense. I am, in a sense, nowhere and everywhere. I am, in a sense, the center and their circumference. Outside of time, I can be said to be limitless, or rather, outside of space, I can be said to be limitless or infinite. Be clear, by infinite, we don't mean that I extend indefinitely through mental space. Instead, we simply mean that I'm not in space in the first place. And therefore, I simply relax into myself. And I stop looking for limits. I am not limited, but could I somehow be contained by time? Examine the question, has there ever been a time when I haven't been aware of myself? Or to put it more clearly, has there ever been a time without myself, without awareness? The mind might chime in and say, yes, before birth and presumably after death. However, have I ever had an experience of my own appearance or disappearance? In this meditation, set aside the question of deep sleep. Let's just stick for now with the waking state. In the waking state, in the very least, have I ever felt myself to be absent? Have I ever experienced myself disappearing or disappearing and then reappearing? Has my experience then ever been broken or discontinuous? Go ahead and look. Stay with the waking state. Do you discern any moments when awareness disappears or any moments when awareness reappears? The mind might chime in and object. Of course, there are plenty of things that occur, but I'm not necessarily aware of them. Here, however, we are only interested in simply being aware or of simply illuminating an experience. That objection has to do with what's called metacognitive awareness, which could really be said to be a thought. A thought would say, I know that I'm sad. That is an introspective thought. And as such, it is in the ken of the mind. In this particular line of inquiry, the one that we are following, we are more naive, more innocent. We're not talking about metacognitive introspection, a certain mental operation. We're simply asking whether we've ever had an experience of being absent. Have you ever known yourself not to be present? Thought might say, but I know that I'm going to die. Set aside thought once more. Does awareness have any knowledge of its own death? Could awareness ever have any knowledge of its own disappearance? After all, if awareness had any knowledge of a disappearance, it would continue to be the awareness, and what disappears would, of course, be another objective experience. Since we cannot find any experience telling of our absence, telling of the absence of aware presence, we have every reason to be open to the possibility that we, or I, or aware presence am continuously present, or ever present, or in a manner of speaking, always illuminating the scene. Perhaps then, I am not only outside of space, I am also outside of time. Could it be that space, time, and thought all appear in me, awareness, whereas I don't actually appear in them? Perhaps I am also, as it is said, self luminous or self effulgent. Be very intuitive here. Go to your experience of being yourself or being aware and open here. Is it perhaps self lighting itself up? Could your experience be somewhat like the sun illuminating itself? Could it be that you, aware presence, do not require anything else in order for the lights to be on, but yourself? But that is the awareness or consciousness that you are. Could it be that awareness is its own light unto itself? That you are your own light unto yourself? You are without limit, continuously present and self luminous. Therefore, in your very being, you are not free. Rather, you are freedom itself. Nor are you peaceful. Instead, you are peace itself. Therefore, know yourself to be limitless. Know yourself to be continuously present. That is, to be presence. Know yourself to be self-luminous or self-effulgent. And know yourself to be freedom or peace itself, to be inherently peace. That is, know yourself to need nothing, to want nothing, to become nothing because you are yourself. Being whole, you are beyond incompleteness, beyond lack. Beyond incompleteness, beyond lack, you are fullness beyond fullness. You are that peace, the only peace that surpasses all ordinary understanding. The only thing that remains is to abide here in your own glory.